wow, there's a lot of you. Martin, Natalie, and the list goes on. There is a lot of you. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am going to start now. We're a couple of minutes after 8, and I'm mindful, obviously, it is a Monday evening. So let's get started. Just going to, there we go. So I will keep your messages down there. Cool beans. Right, so let's get started. Success in property through social media is something, if anybody knows me and my journey, it's something that's hugely changed what we've done in a very short period of time. And it's something that you can do as well. So tonight I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story, kind of what I've done before. I'm going to be telling you what I've implemented on social media, things that have worked really well and things that you can do as well. So, let's pull you up here so I can see you all in case you've got any burning questions. Let me just change this around. Okay, so first of all, just before we do get started, I know quite a lot of you who are on tonight had already previously booked the face-to-face course. So I did a couple of these last year. Unfortunately, obviously with everything that's going on, and obviously with the announcement last night, I have cancelled June. So you all would have received an invoice, sorry, a refund this morning. So that's been cancelled. I'm not going to start rebooking dates at this time because we just don't know what's going on. At the moment, I've just left September and November as they are, but obviously at the minute, I'm not going to take any money for that. I'm just going to see, let's see what's going to happen, and then we can kind of take it from there. So everyone who booked on, you will have your refunds now. If you haven't, please get in touch with me because you should have them all through today. So, welcome. My name is Laura Muse. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, my backstory, and what led me into property. So, I actually have got in the background, I'm an equine girl by heart. So, I actually studied equine science at university, got an honours degree with that, and then I went off into the big wide world and became a nutritionist. So, equine nutritionist by trade. It's not a job, and I've got a massive spelling mistake there. It's not a job that you typically see, and also means that I've got absolutely very little knowledge in property. It was my life since I was 6 years old. So growing up with horses, my entire working career up until 2018 has always been equestrian based, but it's always been heavily involved in sales and marketing. So in September 17, I left employment and set up my own business called UK Equestrian Supplies, and that was basically importing equestrian goods from Europe. James helped me set that business up, so he started me on my entrepreneur journey, so to speak. In July 18, I decided to close that business down. I attended a social media course and decided actually it was at Progressive. It was the Paul Mahoney course. I didn't sign up to the course, strangely enough, but just by speaking to a lot of property investors, James was already full-time in property. I thought, what on earth are we doing? We could do this quicker and more efficiently together. I have skills James doesn't, and vice versa, so I thought it'd work really well. So literally overnight, I decided to pack up my equestrian life and set off on this full-time journey to be a property investor. So from July 18, we built I2 Property. So we already had a company called Muse Homes, which is what our new builds and things were in. But we decided, because we wanted to scale and expand the business, we wanted to rebrand. And so I went into property full-time in July. We started in July 18 with 6 units. So we already had 2 buy-to-lets, and we also, well, James had done a new build project, which was 2 shops and 2 flats. So at that time, in July 18, we had a net income from property of £1,500 a month. Now, if anyone's in property, we all know what we do is a simple process. So actually buying houses is quite simple. The journey along the way is quite bumpy. So if anyone's laughing now, please give me a little wave in the comments, just to know that it's not just me who feels like being in property is a complete roller coaster of emotions on a day-to-day basis. So what I really felt as well is I wanted to share this with people, you know, the highs, the lows, and everything that happens in between. Because we've had a great success in a very short period of time, but it's not easy. And I wanted to share that with people. So within a short 12 months, we grew from I2 Property. We have now got a brand family. There's lots of other arms to our business. We've set up a lettings and management business. There's the training side, which obviously I'm speaking to you from tonight. We also do sourcing, so we've got quite a big sourcing business, which we exclusively work with investors who only pledge funds to our business. And then we have the developments, which you'll have seen on social media. So we've currently got one going on at the moment. So that's James's baby, his side of the business. And also James is responsible for the electrical and the plumbing side of the business, which we have kind of developed from the lettings and management. So really you need to start with the end in mind. So that is what we did, and that's why we rebranded from an early stage. So in 12 months, we managed to double our portfolio from 6 units to 14 units. There's 1 mini HMO in there, which is 4 rooms. And then we're onto our second new build project, which we're currently working on at the moment. We mainly have buy-to-lets, and we have 1 HMO. And at the minute, we're just working on 3 rent-to-rent deals on HMOs, so 3 6-bed HMOs, and a couple of other bigger projects. The big thing that changed our journey was being able to raise the money. Now, when somebody first said this to me, I didn't believe anyone would ever invest with me. James was the one with all the knowledge, not me. So I thought, what on earth have I got to offer? So if anyone does feel like that now, it'd be great if you could just interact with me, just so I know that obviously it's not just me that's ever felt like that. Why would somebody want to invest with me? So utilising social media, I've managed to raise over £4 million to date. So the new build project that we're currently working on at the moment is completely funded by investor finance. So they've lent £350,000 for 12 months at 10%. Now, if somebody had said this to me in July 18, I would have laughed in your face, genuinely would. But it really has changed our lives and our business. We also now run an investor bank. So £4 million is not sat in our bank account. That would be very nice. It goes into different pots, so into the business, we split it. So we've got the deal packaging business. We have people who purely lend on a return into our business. But then we also help other local developers with finance. So if they need quick injections of cash, obviously they pay a premium, but we can facilitate that. So if you want to call it, we are the middleman. We also have the lettings and management side, the training side. And if anybody has heard of my podcast, the social propertypreneur, please have a listen. There's some quite cool people on there giving interviews about property and business. So for me, it took us 6 years from initially starting to buy a property in 2013 to 2019 to get 6 units. Now, for me, that was too slow, and for James, that was definitely too slow. So we thought there must be a quicker way. We were really lucky and fortunate that we had a lump of money to start off with. So James sold his half of his business. So James has had many businesses in Sheffield, very successful businesses. We cut our losses and we went in 100% into property. So James sold his business. We had a lump sum of money to utilise. But what we thought, well, what we found is, especially with land, it's locked into deals for quite a long time. You know, we'd had a plot of land at that time for coming up 3 years, and 2 years, and that's £100,000 sat there doing absolutely nothing. There's not many deals you can do like that before your money is completely gone. So we thought there must be a quicker way. Now, for me, with my background in sales and marketing, I thought the only way for me to do this is by utilising social media. I wasn't 100% sure how I could utilise social media, because I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but if you've been in an industry for a very long time and you feel very comfortable, you're very knowledgeable about that niche. Now, for me, that was being in the equine world. Coming into property, I thought, who on earth's going to listen to me? I don't know anything. And I didn't feel very self-confident about doing that, but obviously that was an issue in my own head. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to put myself on social media, and I'm going to have to build a personal brand. Now, I absolutely love this slide. And the reason is, so July 2019, so we started investing in 2018, July 2018, January 2019, I went to over 20 property networking events. I was always told from my education, because obviously I had to go get some education in property because I didn't have loads of experience. Network, network, network. Now, that's great. I've got a young family. The reason we got into property is because we wanted to spend more time together as a family. And all I found myself doing was going all over the UK to all these different networking events, breakfast, lunch, dinner, spending an enormous amount of money and getting very little return on that. So I don't know if any of you have felt like this. If you could, it'd be great if you could just put your hands up in the comments. That yes, I do agree on traditional networking, but I also do think things have moved on since there. And realistically, what we need to do is, I'm all precious about my time. So if I can leverage my time in any way, I'm going to do that. So God knows how many hours I spent in that January, going to traveling there, being at the networking events, coming home, the money away from my little girl and my husband. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to do that again. I was going to choose 2 networking events I wanted to go to, but the rest I wasn't going to bother. Because I can go to 2, I can get to know people, but actually it's going to take me weeks, if not months, to get to know these people properly, and I didn't have that time. So for me, social media is a one-to-many strategy. So what do I mean by that? So you can put a post out onto social media, it goes to tens, if not hundreds, or even potentially thousands of people, depending on what that post potentially is and the reach that you get. So if you post on social media every day for 7 days, 30 days, can you imagine the potential reach of who you're actually going to speak to from the comfort of your own home? It's incredible. And for me, obviously having a sales background, it's all about them touch points. So I've always been taught from my previous businesses where I've worked, people need to have at least 9 touch points before they are ready to buy. Other people say 7, but I've always been taught 9. So that's always been in my mind when I've been going to these networking events. I thought, God, if I only come here once a month, that's 9 months. If I don't contact these people in between, this is going to take forever. But actually, you can quite easily do that on social media within a week. So this is why social media is so powerful. It's a one-to-many strategy. It saves you time, money, and it builds up know, like, and trust a hell of a lot quicker than anything else out there. So why would you want to use social media for property? Maybe if you're like me, we needed investors. Our money was getting tied up very quickly and we needed more funds to keep building our property portfolio, and we couldn't do that from our own. Obviously we're waiting for refinance to come through, so I took to social media to find us investors. Maybe you're looking for JV partners, they're also looking for JV partners. So putting yourself out there, you are going to meet other people and potentially do business collaborations together. Are you looking for landlords? They are on there too. You can find deals, you can find tenants, you can build a business and a personal brand, you can find direct to vendors, you can also speak to agents. So we do a really clever marketing campaign which we target agents, asking them if they want to be a higher earner in their office. Works really well. And you can also, it saves you a lot of time. Like I say, you can connect with tenants and you connect with other people. And at this time, this is the biggest reason to be online in this lockdown, because if you're not doing it, when are you gonna? This is the only way that we can connect with people right now. So it's your time to shine, and you really have to get yourself out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there on social media if you want to build a big business and be efficient at doing that. Now, I love this slide. So as you can see, Facebook alone has got over 2,000 million active users, which is just absolutely incredible. So if you think you get a small proportion of that, the results you can have is absolutely amazing. So at the top, you've got YouTube and Facebook. So YouTube, again, if you look at these platforms, they're both very visual, they're both video based. And what actually should be on here, which it isn't, is Facebook should be split into Facebook feed and Facebook Lives, because Facebook Live and video on YouTube are the two biggest platforms out there. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are cringing at the thought of doing a video on social media. I was this person 100%. I completely get where you're coming from, but it is a game changer. And I'm going to go through that as well. Becky, LinkedIn isn't there. So LinkedIn has gone right down. LinkedIn is a very, very small profile, but it's great for what we do because we can find investors on there. I think the statistics is 55% of millionaires are actually on LinkedIn. So actually, for us in our business, if we're wanting to find investors, LinkedIn is a very valuable social media platform. And actually, there's 212 social media platforms out there set up, maybe not active, but there's 212 available to use. These are just the ones that are most popular. I mean, even some of these that are popular on here, I've never used, like QQ or QZone. Reddit's quite popular. I've never personally used it. The ones I go to is Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, Instagram. But it depends on who we're targeting, which we're going to go into. So the marketing funnel. So if anyone's in marketing, you will have seen this many, many times. So this is the ADA model. So whenever we're putting something out onto social media, we need to have this in mind because we're trying to grab people's attention and interest, and then we're going to give them something that they desire, so they're going to take action on it. And that's what we need to be thinking about when we're putting our content out there. I developed a 4-step system. So when I first started on social media, I kind of just was going on what I'd learned before, but I have many people ask me questions about social media, how I got it to work, but because I'd done it for such a long time, it really took me a lot to sit down and actually write down, right, this is what I've been doing, because I'd done it over a 10-year period in my previous jobs. So I've wrote it down and put it into a system to make it really easy for people to understand and follow, because I feel there's a big gap in the market for social media for property investors. And it's such a powerful tool that you can use. So the M, you won't forget this because it's my surname. So the M is all about marketing yourself and your brand. Then you've got the U, which is all about understanding your target market. The S is about the social media platforms, but it's about optimizing them. And then the E is about engaging content. So we're going to go into personal branding, so marketing yourself and your brand. So what I've just put up here is a selection of things I've used in my business that you can emulate in yours, but I just wanted to show you them because they are quite powerful. James hates that picture, so I hope James is watching. So I've set up a podcast, I've set up a personal brand. How people buy has changed. We used to buy from business brands. We don't anymore. We buy from people, and property is a people business. somebody's not going to invest in I Squared Property, but somebody is going to invest in me and James because of what we're showing. We're showcasing our knowledge and our experience, and we're building up the know, like, trust with them. They never just look at I Squared Property and invest straight into that company, but getting to know me and James, that they will invest with us. So building a personal brand, especially if you're wanting to work with investors, is key. And you need to do this. Everybody can do it. You just need to think of a couple of things. So things you need to be a little bit mindful of. What is your personality brand voice? So with a business brand and with a personal brand, what you don't want is to have a personal brand that's quite open, approachable, and then you don't want to have a business brand that's very corporate. The two need to be congruent. They need to speak to each other, because if somebody speaks to you and they really like you, they find you open and a warm person, but then they start kind of looking at your content from a business point of view and it's very cold and corporate, it's going to turn them off and they're going to go elsewhere. So they need to be congruent with each other to build up even stronger know, like, trust. So for us, we always come across professional. It's very rare you'd ever see me kind of in joggy bottoms, etc. If you're doing a personal brand, a few top tips: you need to get a USP. What is your USP? Now, when I first thought about this, I thought, oh my God, I haven't got a USP. But somebody actually pointed out one of my USPs is my voice. Now, you may be laughing, but I hated my voice. In fact, I do hate my voice. But I've learned to love it in a weird way. I am a northern girl. I am from Yorkshire. Can I change my accent? Probably if I worked really hard on it. Do I want to? Probably not really. And people actually do engage with my accent. So that is one of my USPs. I know Flora's on here. Me and Flora have had conversations before where Flora's Italian. Remind me if you're not, Flora, slap me on the wrist. And yes, and one of her obstacles is actually, well, people are going to understand me because I'm not, my first language isn't British, it's Italian. And obviously she's got an accent with that, but actually that makes her completely unique. And Anna's Polish, so yeah, Anna, we've spoke about this before. And you know what? It actually makes you stand out from everybody else. Because if people are scrolling through a video and they listen to your voice, if you're in a room, then that resonates with them. They recognise your voice. If you sound the same as everybody else, you're just going to blend in. And the point about having a personal brand is you stand out, and you stand out from the competition. And that's what you need to be. For me, with my personal brand, I wanted to be the go-to person in Sheffield for property. And I'm not there yet, but Paul, I'm from Oxford. Well, no comment. You need to stand out, and this is what you really need to be mindful of. I wanted to be the go-to person in Sheffield. I would say that if anyone puts a post or a comment about Sheffield, my name is normally mentioned at least 5 to 7 times, and I do truly believe that and I see it. But I want to be the majority every time because I want to dominate my area. So if that's what you want to do, this is what you need to do too. You need to build up a personal brand. And business brand needs to be congruent with that. But like I've said previously, I haven't got loads of property experience. So how do I back up my business reputation with my personal brand? Well, for me, in my business, the strength is in my team. So the I Squared Property team, these are the people who bring experience. These are the people who we can call, and these are the people who our investors have access to. So obviously James is he operates and directs everything in our business. He likes to call himself the firefighter against my blunders. He hates me being on social media too much, but it brings in what it brings in. So James basically holds everybody together. He is the mechanics guy. We've got Jim, who used to work for Sheffield City Council. He really is a fantastic asset to our business. Then we've got as architect, we've got obviously our solicitor. We've also got our site and project manager, Dale, who does amazing on our projects. He manages everything. And we've got Jenna, who helps in the property, in the lettings business. And then we have our godfather, so to speak, who is Dave. So what you should be doing, maybe you're just starting off in property and actually you don't have loads of experience, but if you're building up your power team, these people, if they're buying into your brand, these are people who can back up your brand with their experience. And all these people are more than happy to, they are advocates for our business. You are your biggest advocate, and so is your staff, so to speak. Obviously, we don't physically employ many of these people, but they 100% buy into the I squared vision, and they're on the same page as us. Dave, he does amazing things for us. He works for us more or less full time. He puts all our strategy together. He manages all the finances for any of our projects. He does all our bookkeeping. I mean, he's very detailed, Dave. But we couldn't be without him, and we couldn't do the things in our business like we do without him. So the power in our brand is our team. But I've also built up my personal brand, which attracts investment. We also attract great deals. So for me, personal branding is all about building know, like, and trust. But for what it really, really means to me is you need to be visible, you need to be authentic, and you need to be consistent. So you see many people on social media come and go. You need to be consistent to build up them relationships. You know, we've raised quite a lot of money in a short period of time. You know, we're busy with our own projects. We could have dropped off the earth with social media, but that wouldn't be a good impression to give to our investors if you come in and going on social media. You need to be consistent. Now, feedback from a lot of the investors who invest with us have said, I said, well, you know, can I ask you kind of why you've invested with us over others? And the number one was, we are consistent. We show people the projects that we're doing start to finish. We tell people when there's problems in projects that we're doing. We explain how we're going to overcome them, because it's not, you know, we'd like to say things run smooth all the time. Unfortunately, they don't, but they don't in life. But it's how you overcome them and how you show people on social media how you can do that. And then they buy into you, into your personal and your business brand. And, you know, in lockdown, we've just got another 3 investors on board because we've still been consistent during lockdown. So you can do this too. And another thing I'd like to add to this is actually you need to be very transparent. So don't just tell people what you think. Be honest, be open, tell people the good things and the bad things, things that you've done wrong and that you do better next time. So I did a post, I messed up some figures on a deal, and I told social media, I got a barrage of abuse about that, saying, why on earth would you try and deposition yourself? Well, actually, why is it? You know, we all get things wrong. I'm just owning up to it. And actually, by owning up to it and speaking to the estate agent, we actually got an off-market deal from that. So it's kind of, you know, let's just be open and honest. And I do wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's just me. But if you're being visible, you need to be consistent and 100% be authentic. Don't try to be something that you are not. It takes a long time to build a personal brand. It takes seconds to destroy it. So the next stage in the system is understanding your target market. So when I thought about this, I thought, well, who am I going to target on social media? What am I wanting to get from it? And there was 4 key areas for me. First of all, there was the investors. So we wanted them to lend on a return. We wanted to attract them for our deal packaging business. And we also wanted to incorporate them into an earn and learn scheme. So that was the avatar 1. Then you've got landlords. We wanted to take management of their properties. We wanted to potentially buy their properties. And we also wanted to do creative strategies like rent to own. So rent to rent with the lease option, them types of deals. Then we had the third type. So obviously we've got the lettings and management business. So we wanted to also target tenants. So do we want to attract tenant buyers? So potentially for the new build, you know, with whatever's going on, maybe we need to looking at a tenant buyer. So we can target these people. We want to fill our HMOs and we want to fill our buy-to-let properties. And then 4th avatar that we want to target is homeowners for direct to vendor. So we want to target them for potential lease options, assisted sales, and off-market deals. But we needed to take that a step further. So what we really needed to do was analyse these people. So these people need to have a name. So in my previous life, whenever we did any kind of marketing, we narrowed it down to a person, and we knew their age, we knew where they lived, their marital status, how many children they had. So we had a real visual of who we are marketing to. The reason that you need to be this specific is because if you're utilising Facebook adverts, you can be this specific. You can market directly to that person. You need to get a grasp of their work lifestyle. So for example, if you're looking for an investor, how many hours a week? You don't want them working 15 hours a week because they've got enough time then to go and find properties for themselves. But you want them to work in 60 hours plus. You want them to be in a higher level job. You want them to have quite a big income, residual savings in the bank. So cash rich, time poor. That's what we need to do if you're wanting to have investors on a return basis, or people who want hands-off investments in your deal packaging business. And what's their pain points? Well, they have money, they don't have time. How can I help that? Well, I have the knowledge and I'm doing this, so I can help them get a better return on their money, or I can find them a property, refurb it, and then I can let it out. How do I know this information? Okay, so what you need to think about, so Flora's just asked a question, how do you know this information? Are they assumptions? I'm still struggling to build my target audience profile. So really, Flora, what you need to be thinking of, who is this person that you want? It's your ideal customer. It's not what they want, it's who you want. Who do you want to work with? Is it someone who's cash rich and time poor? Well, if it's for an investment, 100%. Is it someone that's potentially based down in London, so it's a hands-off property? Yes, it potentially is. So it's about who you want to be your avatar for your business. So if you're looking for an investor, who is the investor you want to work with? You might want to work with an age range between 35 and 45. I might want an age range of 55 to 65. So it's on personal preference, but it's who you want. Jeanette's just put a good comment in there. Pen portraits can also help you visualize your target. So this is what I do. There's many templates like this online, but really need to think about who is it that you want to work with. Or is it a landlord who is tired, is in his 60s? You know, it's scenario. So who is this landlord? Is he in his 60s? Has he just been hit with Section 24? Is he going to have to sell some properties? Cool, that helps a lot, great. So you kind of get where I'm coming from. It's who you want to target and how you're going to help them. Now I'm going to go on to social media platforms. So like I've said, there's over 212 social media platforms out there. Obviously, I'm not going to read all them out. And I don't even know what half of them are. But these are the most common. So you've got Facebook, you've got YouTube, the two biggest ones that you need to be on, especially if you're looking for investors. They are on there in their age ranges. Then we've also got our Instagram, and then you've got LinkedIn, which we've already mentioned. LinkedIn wasn't on the profile that I showed you earlier, but LinkedIn for what we do is very important. Snapchat and Twitter. So I do use Twitter. I don't use Snapchat. For me, it's just not my demographic. It's a very young demographic. So what I do is I do go into a lot more detail about the generations, how you target different generations. So I could probably do that at a different time for you. And then you've got TikTok. So very new platform. Well, I say very new. It's been around for quite a few years, but it's only up until the end of last year which really kind of boomed. Sorry, I'm just reading somebody's comment there. So it's really boomed. You can use TikTok for business. It's not something that I'm trialing it out. I'm testing the waters. And the thing with social media is there is no one thing fits all. Content that works for me might not work for you, and vice versa, because we've got very different personalities. So it's all about test and measure. Test, measure, repeat, test, measure, repeat. And you just need to keep testing what you're putting out, what's working. So I know if I put a poll or questions out on social media, I get absolutely no response. I've tried and I've tried, but I just don't. Whereas one of you guys might put questions out on social media and it might work really well. So you need to test what we're doing, and you just need to keep retrying that. So YouTube and Facebook, so Facebook's always been my go-to. YouTube I've adopted later on, so maybe in the last few months, and LinkedIn I've grown slowly over a longer period of time. What I really want to give you is some things that can help you on all the social media platforms. I did think about like deep diving into one tonight, or, you know, kind of targeting that one. But what I thought is I'd give you a great overview of how you can optimize them all, because this is what we need to do, which a lot of people miss. So we all talk about optimizing our websites. So SEO in our websites, which is search engine optimization. But nobody ever mentions this about social media platforms. And actually, it's critical that we optimize our social media platforms. So what do I mean by this? So we need to figure out what our keywords are for our business. So you can use things like SME Rush, which is really good. You do have to pay. You sign up, you get 6 days, and you basically can use it. Please cancel it before the 7th day because you get charged $100. But it gives you very detailed analysis of keywords in your area, in your niche. It also recommends words that you should potentially use within your business. And then you've got Google AdWords, which is free. But basically we need to find out what the keywords are for our business. So for me, mine is invest in Sheffield, buy-to-let properties in Sheffield, property investment in Sheffield, landlord properties for sale in Sheffield. These are my keywords. Why? Because I've used SME Rush to find this out. So when I'm on my Facebook, when I'm on my profiles, and when I'm putting content out there in posts, on my website, I have all these keywords, because what it does is it gives me more organic growth. So I rank higher when people type these into Google search. If you haven't already, you really, really need to be on Google My Business. What Google My Business is I like to call the middleman. So Google My Business holds all the information and it optimizes it. So if you've got all these keywords on Google My Business and on your website and across all your social media platforms, you're going to rank a lot higher than somebody who hasn't got anything, and you're not having to pay for it. It's free if you're doing it well. Obviously, to get to the really at the top, you can pay SEO experts, etc. But what I'm talking about is stuff we can do which is free. Now, you need to put the keywords in your about sections across all your social media profiles. So whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, go on your about section, and this increases the chances of you moving up the rankings in Google. So put as many, so don't spam it, don't put too many in, it has to make sense. It has to make sense, but get as many keywords in there as possible because it will give you the best reach possible. Also, promoting your posts. So when you're posting out, get keywords in: investing in Sheffield, buy-to-let properties in Sheffield, return on money in Sheffield, landlord properties in Sheffield. So what I do as well is I keep them all in my phone, in my notes. I write all my keywords down because you can forget them, but you really need to be looking at them all the time. How can I put this into my post? If you've got blogs, you need to put in your keywords into that. Anything that is online has to have your keywords in. Also, what you should do as well is claim your page name. So you can do this on LinkedIn, you can do it on Facebook. I think you can do it on Instagram. I'm sure you can do it on Instagram. But basically go into the settings, and normally it will come up like with, it does it on pages, not on personal profiles. So if you go into the settings, you can change how your URL, so the URL is the www.isquaredproperty.co.uk bar at the top. of a search engine. So when people search for you in Google, in that URL at the top, it'll come up http I squared property 59678. If that is just a clean I squared property or I squared prop, again, it adds to your organic reach and your organic SEO. So it'll bring you further up the rankings. Whether it's, if you've got this, all these question marks, numbers after it, it will de-rank you, and it really is that sensitive. Now, in regards to algorithms on social media, nobody knows what the algorithm is. But what you can do is optimize your profiles to the absolute max. So you're just helping, everything that you're doing is helping you climb them rankings organically and what we like, freely. So I'm just reading. Okay, cool. And the search engine as well, they also look for the amount of likes and comments you have on posts. And again, it pulls you up. If your content is popular, it deems to the algorithm that people like it, it's readable, it's popular, and more importantly, people want to see more of it. So the reason why I'm sharing that is because we obviously have the social media community. That is a Facebook group that I've set up. We do a lot of challenges which we try and help and support each other. So last month we did 30 days of posting. So every day we did posting, and we all went on each person's post, liked and commented, because this is what happens when the search engine sees it's got a very quick reaction, it's got likes and comments and shares, it will actually pull it up further, and the algorithm will fire out the post a lot further than it would if it hadn't got this on. What you can also do, which is what I've done, is you can also create additional pages. So this works really well in Facebook. You can also do it in LinkedIn. So what I mean by that, so you need obviously a Facebook personal page to start off with. So the top right hand side is my personal profile. And then what you can do is you can also make pages. So once, especially on Facebook, you have a maximum of 5,000 friends. So once you get to the 5,000 friends, now you might be sat there now thinking, 5,000 friends, I've got 500. Believe me, once you start putting yourself out onto social media, that soon racks up. So you need somewhere to move these people to. Another question, maybe somebody's thinking about it now, actually I don't want to use my personal profile for business. That's absolutely fine. So what you can do is, what I would advise you do is you still need to utilize a social media profile, because what you can do is you can post into groups. You can't normally post into groups via a page. It has to be a personal profile, has to be deemed as a person. So you can set up a new profile, maybe, you know, slightly change your name or something like that. And then when you start building up a following, use the new profile by posting into social media, into groups on Facebook, and get them familiar with that profile, not the one you want to keep for family. So you can do that if you want. I haven't. But once you get to the 5,000, I thought, well, where am I going to put these people? Where am I going to move these people on? Because, you know, I want to build a personal brand. So I created a page, which is the Laura Muse page, which is the one on the right-hand side with the red top on. Now, to look at them, they don't look that different. And I'll tell you why I don't make things massively different. Because I don't want people to get confused with my branding. I want to take up mind space with people. And as you can see from here, all my pages are the same. So I squared property, trading and lettings all look like more or less identical, they're just different colours. Now, why is this important? Because if people are following you on I squared property, you've already taken up mind space. If they see I squared lettings or training, without even a second thought, if they're not following that page, they might think, I'm Cheryl following that page, and they will automatically just like it. So then you've gained an extra like on that page because someone is following your brand, they bought into your brand, and you've taken up mind space. And it's exactly the same with the personal profile. So this is what I do. This is what works really well. A lot of the marketeers will tell you that this is what you should be doing, is making everything congruent throughout, give the same brand message and the same brand personality. And this is what I do across LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Any of my profiles look more or less identical. The power of a Facebook group. So is anybody here just starting out in property? Can you just give me a hands up or a comment or something like that? Okay, cool. Is there anyone who's been in property a while and kind of wants to start building a personal brand? Could you yeah, cool. It's quite a lot of you. So when I first started putting myself out there, so to speak, what I did find is I thought, well, where am I going to start really? Because actually, everyone who's on my personal Facebook, for example, none of them, I've never had a conversation with any of these people about property. Are my friends interested in property? No. Are my family? Well, not really. So what am I actually going to do? So I actually thought I went back to my marketing roots. We used to engage with a lot of people through groups, and it's really, really powerful. So to build a following, the quickest way to do this is by utilising somebody else's pond. And I say pond because that is what it is. It's a pond for you to go fishing. Now, you've got to be very clever when you're doing this. You don't go in there and start saying, I've got all these products and services. We're not doing that. We're not going to rob people's clients. What we're doing is we're going to build our brand, which is different. So I utilise this group. It's got over 28,000 people. Well, I think it's 28,000 people now. There's a lot of silent investors in there watching. I got majority of the people who work in our deal packaging business now from this group. In fact, all of them, bar two, are from this group. So it's very, very powerful. You don't have to pick progressive. You want to pick a niche like something like the HMO group or service to accommodation group or something along them, like commercial conversion group. But just make sure there's a lot of people. There's no point doing it if there's only a couple of thousand. You need at least 20,000 people in there, because you need to, you want to make as much traction as you can. So the more people, the better. So I use this. I started posting into this group every day. The amount of friend requests I got on my personal profile. So before you do this, be clear. Do you want to use the current personal profile, or do you want to set up a new one? Because once it starts, it's hard to get them to move over. And remember, you can only be a member of a group, well, majority of groups, as a person. So make sure it's the right profile that you're posting into the group. Don't start posting into the group with your family profile and think, why am I getting all these random requests? You need to make sure. Any downsides to using a personal profile? So Gareth just asked, any downsides to using a personal profile, and should you create a new one for personal? So downsides is I don't post as much personal stuff on there anymore, if I'm being genuinely honest. But anyone who gives me any weird inbox messages, because we all get them, unfortunately, even I get them, I just block them. I never engage. If I get the slightest inkling that I'm getting some kind of weird message, I just block them. I probably do about 85% business and 15% family. Now, the reason I still put little bits of family activity on there of what I'm doing is because actually I do resonate to people with young families. So most of my investors have got young families, and that's something that we have in common, and it builds up the know, like, trust. So that is why I do it. Maybe you want to set up something completely separate. A good friend of mine, Claire Farrington, she's got a massive property business. She keeps them completely separate. She's got Claire Farrington business, and as in it's a personal profile, but it's only for business use for her personal brand. And she has Claire Farrington mum and wife. So completely different profiles. It is personal choice. There's downsides to everything, up and downsides to everything. It depends what you want. If you block them, does them block them? So basically, if you want to block them, I normally get a weird message, and then I literally just go onto there. You can click through and it goes block, takes them onto their profile, and I just literally block them from Facebook, and it blocks them from both. So they can't, if you block them on the main Facebook profile, they can't message you. If you message them, if you block them on Messenger, they can still see this stuff on Facebook, which is not what I want. I just want them gone. So that is what I do. Cool. So build up a following quickly, utilize somebody else's group. This one's a great one. You get a real mix of investors in there. People are watching. So one thing I want to share with you is people are watching all the time. The majority of my investors have never ever liked or commented on anything I've ever put out on social media. They just watch and they watch. They watch to see if you're being consistent. They watch to see if you're being visible. They watch to see what you're doing. They watch to see the good, the bad, the ugly. Then they will engage. We're actually utilising groups in another way. So we can actually use, for example, in your area, there will be a Facebook group about, do you want to buy, sell your property? Do you want to rent out a room, etc.? You need to be joining all of these groups. Why? Because this is great access directly to landlords, directly to direct to vendors. So quite a lot of direct to vendors now have started putting their own properties up for sale. You can utilise Facebook Marketplace for this as well. And also you can find tenants. So a lot of people will message in these groups, I'm looking for a property in this postcode, this is my budget. You can get straight in there, you know, no advertising, and fill your rooms quick. Especially with what's going on now. There's a whole bunch of people utilising Facebook trying to find accommodation. Landlords are trying to let out their rooms. Maybe you can help them. Maybe you can offer them a guaranteed rent option. Maybe you can just take them for management. Landlords are also putting the properties on here for sale. Maybe you could do a lease option if they're not in any desperate need, or you know, you could just buy it at a great price. But it's a great tool to use across all areas of property, is by utilising people's groups. And why not set up your own? So I've got the social media community. I've set that up because, you know, I love anything to do with social media, want to help property investors, and I want my own group of people. And we all support each other, and that's what you're building. You're building the community of people. So how do you gain maximum reach in groups? Now, a lot of you might shiver when I say this, but it is through live video. So if anyone's just shivered, just put your hand up. Yeah, a lot of people there. So definitely shivered. Zoe, you should be doing live videos. I'm sure I've seen you do live videos before. So when I first started doing it, I did a lot of pre-recorded videos. I did about 50 million takes before I even posted anything onto social media. But what I quickly realised is actually it wasn't getting any reach. And when I looked into this in a bit more detail, the reason it wasn't getting any reach is because it's not classed as unique content into a group. If it's a pre-recorded video and you have pre-recorded it, you've posted it into a group, but then you've also posted it onto your personal profile, maybe an hour's difference. Because it's a pre-recorded video into a group, it's not classed as unique content. So it actually, the algorithm de-ranks it as soon as you put it in. But actually, if you're using live video, that is classed as unique content, and it's unique to that group. So you'll get a far better reach by utilising a live video into a group. So I always do live videos into the Progressive Network, and this is why, because it gets a lot further reach. But then what you can do, you can be quite clever with this. So then what I do is when I've finished my video, there's a little button that comes up, press finish. Then on the right hand side, it'll say save. Make sure you save it because it'll save into your camera roll on your phone. Then press the option to upload it in HD. Upload it, make sure you've put a title on. Never upload a video without a title. People will not watch it. You need to upload it with a title on, telling people why they should stop and watch this video. So then you've uploaded it into a group, you've saved it onto your phone, then an hour or two or the next day, you can then use that video from your camera roll and upload it into a personal page or on your profile, and it's still deemed as unique content because it's into your personal profile or page. So that way you get maximum reach by one video. It's something that I've always done, something I highly recommend that you do. So you get maximum reach by the same video. You just shifting the time around, you're doing a live video, and then you can go and post it onto your personal profiles after. Then we can chop it up into several different bits of content and repost it across different platforms. One thing I would say, which is a massive pet hate, and the algorithm hates it. So I'm sure you've all seen somebody do a live video. So they've done a live video into a group, they've clearly saved it on the phone, but then they've posted it at the same, like, minutes apart into 10 different groups. It'll get absolutely no reach because the algorithm will see it as spam and it'll be massively deranked. So if you're posting it into a group, I would highly recommend you concentrate on one group, especially if you're first starting. I've only ever posted outside of the progressive group once in my whole 18 months, is it now, 14 months property journey. I posted once into the Samuel Leeds group. Oh, sorry, I tell a lie. I've posted into Blue Oak a few times because I don't do as much in progressive. So I've switched groups, I do more in Blue Oak. I posted once while I was building up a personal brand within the progressive group on the Samuel Leeds group, and what you'll find is things are as heavily policed, is what I'm saying. So if you're feeling a little bit anxious about putting yourself out there, the safest community to put yourself out there on is the progressive group. It's got a huge following, it's heavily policed, things will get deleted. You need to be mindful, so never mention your business and never say contact me, private message me, or please, if you want to invest with me, if you want to invest in this project, it will get deleted. You need to think clever about what you're posting. So you need to drop seeds. What do I mean by that? So for example, a lot of and now you're all going to know this, so a lot of the videos I do, I'll stand outside a property and instead of saying, we're looking for people to invest with us on a return basis, we buy houses like this in the background, if you want to work with us, pop your name in the comments or DM me. Now obviously that's not going to get into a progressive group, they're going to completely just delete it. But what you can do is you can stand outside a property and say, this is a property that we just bought, we bought it for 100 grand, this is a great buy, we've funded this 100% with investor finance because that's what we do with most of our properties. Seed, you just dropped a seed for people who are watching that actually you do use other people's money. Yeah, it's going to give a great return for this investor over a 6-month period. So another seed, you just dropped this seed that actually you use other people's money, and this particular one, use it for 6 months. You go in the house, you show them round, you tell them what you're going to do, how much it's going to cost, give some figures, etc. You come back out and then you say, right, yeah, so I'll give you an update every week on this, let you know how we're getting on. On this particular one, the investor's got first charge on this property as well, another seed. So maybe an investor's watching and thinking, actually, well, what security do I give? What security do I have if I'm lending these guys money? So there, you can cover off objections by seeding in your posts. So you just need to be a little bit more mindful when you're doing videos of actually, who is this for? What's the aim? Do I want an investor? Do I want a landlord? Or do I want a tenant? And then just drop in seeds when you're going into groups, because groups are where it's policed. On your personal profiles, you can do what you want, but keep it on brand. Is this helpful? Yes? No? In between? Cool. You all know my secrets now. What am I going to do? Cool. So Facebook ads, I'm not going to go into this massively. I'm not an expert on Facebook ads. If you want a guy who can show you exactly what to do on Facebook ads, I would highly recommend the Blue Oak community and Andy Thomas. He's done some live videos recently about Facebook ads. He's also today just launched a free handout of how you can set them up. I know the basics, I know it works for me, but I'm going to share this with you. If you want something more in depth, he is the go-to expert on this. So Facebook ads, why it's important that we know exactly who we are marketing to. Oh, cool. So it's important that we know who we're marketing to, because if we're going to pay any money for advertising, which I must point out, this is the time to try Facebook ads. They've slashed their prices by 50%. It's forecast they're going to slash them even more. So if you're going to try it now, is the time to try it, and it's very cheap. Yes, you're not getting the click-through that we used to get because there's so many more people on it, but it's a great time to trial it while it's cost efficient. So you need to know who you're targeting. Why? Because on Facebook, you can do very specific targeted ads. So age, demographic, age, where they live, type of job, money in the bank. Have they previously been looking on Rightmove? Have they recently had a baby? Have they recently been divorced? Have they just split up? Have they been made redundant? Now, if you sat there now thinking, are you joking? I am absolutely not joking. Facebook knows all this information, and you can target people on this. So that's why it's really important that you're very clear on the person that you are putting your content out to. What is the end goal? Is it you want to find a landlord, a direct to vendor, or an investor? You need to know this. You need to know exactly who this person is before you start spending your money on Facebook ads. Another little cool thing you can do, so if you see competitors' ads pop up on your feed, you can get their URL and you can pop it into this website, which is www.adspy.com. Pop in the URL and it'll tell you everything about the ad. It's a great piece of kit. You can pop it in there, it'll tell you who their actual demographic is that they're targeting to, so you can actually find out who your competitors' target market is, I suppose, just by utilising this website. So definitely write that one down. That's www.adspy.com. Canva, I love Canva. If anyone's using Canva and loves it, please give me a hands up, because I absolutely love Canva. It saves me so much money, and to James's pleasure, I think it saves us a lot of money. So Canva is an amazing tool. You can basically create amazing looking adverts, amazing looking posts, all in brand colours with your logos. You can create videos, but what the great thing about it is it sizes it all as well. So you can do flyers, Facebook covers, you can do videos. It really is an amazing tool. So I'd have a play around on Canva. You can use a free account. I use the paid account. I think you get a free trial, sorry, it's a while ago now since I did it. But you can design your own logos. It really is an amazing piece, an amazing tool to keep you giving professional content, giving a brand message out to people, and it's all congruent, so you're keeping it congruent. You can pull out branding kits, so everything's the same. I'd definitely look into that if you're not already using it. Now, this is something that I've discovered recently. So this is some software called Veed.io. Now, this is amazing. So I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls, but what I was really struggling with was actually converting the Zoom files, because I've recorded them, but how do I kind of upload them and edit them? I couldn't really put them into iMovie and etc. etc. So I did a bit of research and found this amazing website. So Veed.io, you can have a free account. Basically, you go on there, it's really easy. I don't like things I do not like complicated things with technology. I hate it, I get bored, and I'll just move on to something else. Has to be straightforward for me. So Veed.io, go on there, you can upload a video, you can add a coloured background, you can add text, you can press one button and it uploads subtitles if you want it to. I think I've got a paid version, which is $29 a month. Adds on subtitles. Also, you can put your logo on there, you can put music on there, you can shorten the video, and literally then you download it, you can send it straight out to your social media profiles, or you can download it and use it on YouTube or wherever you want to use it. So I definitely look into v.io, really good piece of kit. And again, you can make things congruent through Canva and v.io. Get my words mixed up. And you can give a really professional business look by using it yourself. You don't have to outsource all this stuff. You can, obviously there's a cost. This is a time cost, so you need to weigh up which is best. A lot of people always ask me, do I outsource any of my social media? No, I don't. Why? Because I'm trying to build a brand, and if you want to outsource it, I'm not saying don't, but just be mindful that the people you're outsourcing it to need to know your personality, especially if they're doing things in regards to your personal brand. You can also use pre-scheduling platforms like Hootsuite or Buffer or Social Sprout. Things are out there, but just be mindful that actually, if you're using these pre-scheduling platforms, Facebook, for example, is the biggest one, never sees your content as unique. So just to let you know on that one. Then we have something which is really good for keyword search. I mentioned it earlier, SME Rush. Don't forget to cancel it. It is expensive if you don't cancel the free trial. But you can also use things like Google AdWords. If you put into Google free keyword software, it will kick out loads. But these are two that work really well. Okay, so engaging content. Who here struggles with content ideas? Put your hands up. Oh wow, there's lots of you. Can you just put in the comments is it because you don't know what to post, you're overwhelmed? What actually is it? Like, why can you not think of any content? Don't know what to put. Consistency. So that's a good one. I'm new with no properties. That's a big one. So a lot of people don't know what to post because they haven't got any physical properties. Feel like others may know more than me. There's always going to be people that know more than you, but there's also going to be people that know less than you as well. Cool. So when we're thinking of content, there's 4 key areas we need to be thinking about. There's how we're going to entertain somebody, are we going to inspire them, are we going to convince them, or are we going to educate them? Now, entertainment can be something funny. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, sometimes I pick my nose, not really planned entertainment is all I'd say. But you can entertain people, you can inspire them. So what I mean by inspiring, so exactly what Martin's just said. He's just said he feels like people know more than him. Well, actually, yeah, there's always going to be people that know more than him. But what he's not taking on board is actually Martin's been in his property journey, I think a couple of years, Martin, but just let me know if I'm wrong on that. And actually, there's always someone who's just starting out. There's always somebody newer into property than you. And if you think, so if I think when I first started, I didn't even know what a return on capital employed was. I didn't even know how to work out a gross yield. Whereas now I can reel them off the top of my head. But there's also someone else who's in that same situation now that I was back in 2018. So I can put out content now, and I know people know a lot more than me. There's a lot of people on this web now that will know a lot more about property than I do. But there's always someone who's just starting out. There's someone who's always a couple of steps behind you. So there's always so Rob Moore, for example, for me, he's light years ahead. He's got hundreds of properties. For me, I feel he's a little bit too out of reach for me. But, for example, who can I think of? Can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Typical. Stephen Pardo. I don't know if Stephen Pardo's on here. Stephen Pardo is a couple of years in front of on his property journey. Amazing guy. Bought a load of property in a very short period of time. I feel like I'm more in reach with Steve than I do with Rob Moore, because Steve's a couple of years in front of me, and somebody will always feel that about you. So please don't feel like that. Yes, people are always going to know. Yes, people might question what you're saying, but if you're right in what you're saying and you're giving great value, then you're just going to be an inspiration to people who have just started. Now, convincing. I like to use this as seeds. So for me, convincing is always overcoming objections. So you're seeding the objections before they even come. For the example I just gave before. Becky, also let's say about I also thought the same about repeat content, but then someone told me that all people, yeah, so I might say a post, I might say something, and then Becky might say exactly the same wording, but someone might relate to Becky more than relate to me, because we're different people. You are unique. Jez, I've just seen how to make unique content. Really, if I'm being honest, there's a lot of the same out there, but how you're making it unique is because it's you. It's your unique personality. It's what you bring to the table. It's how personable you are. It's your unique experiences. This is what makes the content unique, is you, not anybody else. 10 people might say the same thing about a buy-to-let, but actually somebody might resonate with one person more than somebody else. If you think you don't all like the same people, I connect with certain people and I block others because they're just not my personality, and it's exactly the same with the content you're putting out there. I hope that's helped. And also educating people. Don't feel if you're new to property that you should educate. What you can do is tell people and share your knowledge and experience, as in knowledge of what you've learned, how you're going to change it, what's working, what isn't. The worst thing you see is people who are brand new into property trying to educate other people about property when they know Sweet FA. We all know they know Sweet FA because they posted 2 weeks ago that they've just attended masterclass. Don't start telling people what they should be doing when you're not even doing it yourself, because people remember. So don't educate if you're not at that point, but you can share your experiences, you can share your learnings. Someone who's really good at sharing the learnings is Sharon. I don't know if Sharon's on here tonight. But Sharon is very good at sharing her learnings about what she does. She documents what she does. So when you're thinking about putting content out there, these are the 4 key areas. So I can get this online. People use this in many marketing businesses. So basically, what type of content? So maybe to inspire somebody, you could get someone who is in property to talk about something that you've done, get a review from a mentor, get some kind of a community up and running. You can also get reviews, so get reviews from your tenants, your landlords, your investors, case studies. You can do some features on the services that you offer. So maybe you're a deal sourcer, and actually, well, I'm a deal sourcer, but I don't do the full end-to-end service. What I do is I source your property and I refurb it. Well, actually, maybe you want to take it that step further. You want to do source, refurb and management, and you're showcasing your products to people. Do calculations. People love figures with property. 100% do calculations. One key thing is make sure they're the same for the same project every time. Demo videos, press releases, so you can pick up, other people's news. So, research what's going on in the property world right now. Obviously, not a lot's happening, so they say, but you can make posts on that. You can newsjack. Guides and ebooks are something I love doing. If you're wanting to build up a email database, so I'm going to show you how I do that. And also videos. Video is king. Live video is definitely the one that you need to be doing. But from this, you can get a real good grasp of actually, there's loads of different things you can do. You could even create your own e-news channel. So you could even create that about, what you've been doing in property, the updates in the property in your area. One key thing that absolutely changed my journey is I came up with a series of videos when I first started being a bit more serious on social media, thinking this is what I'm going to do. Many of you will have heard this before, but basically it was called Laura on Location. So maybe this is something, I don't know if Jez mentioned this, about unique content. Is it really unique? No. Have I just reworded it? Probably. Has someone done this before? 100%. It's just putting your personality and your spin on things to make it unique to you. So I did Laura on Location. It was me going around my investment area, telling people why buying in this area is a great investment, the types of properties, the investment that was going into the area, the jobs, and basically what was this property was a great opportunity for an investor, and the reasons why. This massively changed what I was doing. I got a lot of interest about investment, and the main question that many other investors said to me were, well, why are you sharing your investment area? I says, well, what do you mean? Well, why are you telling everybody where you invest? Well, I need them to know where I invest because I want to be that go-to person in my area. Nobody knows where I invest. How am I ever going to get recommendations? So I told them, and what I wanted to do was position myself as an expert of Sheffield. Now, I 100% know, if you drove me around my investment areas, I could tell you the good streets, the bad streets, the rental prices, the ceiling prices on rent, what you need to pick a property up at, what the revalues are, because I know my investment area inside out. I know what the 5-year plan is. I know the types of tenant and demographic, transport links. That's what I know about my area. And you need to know it too. And showcase your knowledge will absolutely elevate your head and shoulders above others in your area, because building a personal brand, you are unique, and it's what makes you stand out from the crowd. So content property ideas. This is not the first Zoom session where I'm not comatose. I'll take that as a really nice compliment, thank you. So I've just jotted down here some content ideas what you can use in property. So one thing which is absolutely key is you've got to document your journey, especially if you want an investment. A lot of these are tailored to investment because that's where obviously what we concentrated on the majority of what we've been doing on social media. Now we do a lot with tenants, we do a lot with landlords, we do a lot with agents, we do a lot with direct to vendor. But a lot of this is if you want to build a personal brand to gain investment. So document your journey, tell people everything, the highs, the lows, and everything in the middle. People love before and after photographs. So if you have done a refurb, maybe you haven't, but if you have done a refurb and you've got a shitty green kitchen or a shitty green bathroom, people absolutely love it, before and after picture. Now polls, you can use polls about people's opinions on things. Not something I've really used myself, but you could try it. Property renovation, document your property renovations. We do it on a week by week basis. I think this is the first time we're in lockdown. We've got one refurb going on, which is on a flip project. Obviously we've got the new build as well, but the flip project, this is the first time in the last, well, since 2018 that I've not done a week to week update on our projects. And it's because of what's going on right now. But people love you to show them around the property, what you're doing, what's working, what you're putting in here, how much that's cost. Actually, this is a bit of a problem, but I've got my 20% contingency in there, so I'm going to be all right. It's going to take me up to this figure, but I've already costed that in, so you know, I'm not too worried. It's not going to affect the end cash flow. So telling people stuff like that is what they love. How-to videos. Not how to wire up a house, by the way. I've had someone say that to me before. Don't be doing that. There's a lot of legislation around that, so don't do that. But how-to videos, how do you find your gold mine area? How do you approach investors? How do you set up a marketing campaign? How do you set up your systems in your property business? There's loads of stuff you can do. How you do your direct to vendor campaigns. Quizzes. You could also use quizzes in your property business. Find out a little bit more about people who maybe you want to engage with. So in regards to investors or landlord, maybe not landlords, but you could use it with direct to vendors potentially. So you just be a little bit more creative. I've not personally used that, by the way. Ebooks, I love an ebook. It's a great lead magnet. Quick start guides, I also love them. So anything that's quick, people can download, people have to put the details in. So for example, if your potential ideal customer is there's 4 different categories of generations of potential customers. You've got your baby boomers, which is obviously your older generation. Then you've got like my mum and dad's age bracket, which is called Generation Z. Now, Generation Z, they've got massive privacy concerns. So if you're doing things where you need to, so I think they're between 50, early 50s, late 60s. They've got big privacy concerns, the majority of them. So if you're wanting them to, if they're the target market and you want them to put in their details, don't get them to sign up, set up a new account or anything like that. You literally need to get them to put in name, email, phone number. That is it. Quick, condensed information. They'll put it in, they'll download it. But if you wanted them to put reams of information in, they won't do it. So it's a great way to build up an email database using stuff like ebooks, quick start guides, that type of thing. Successes and failures, tell people the good, the bad and the ugly. People really like to tell them when things haven't gone so well, but more importantly, what you're going to do next time, what you're going to change. Interviews, I do loads of interviews with people now. When I first started, I did a few, and what it actually does do, so maybe you're not well known, is it actually just pulls you up a little bit more. If you're associating with people who are quite big in the industry, it actually replicates for you, and people have that association. So I did a couple of videos when I first started in property. I interviewed David Siegler, I interviewed a couple of other people at Progressive, and actually even now, because I recorded them, they've used them as a podcast. And it actually helped my personal brand. So association with others is a great thing, and now is the time to do it while people are sat at home. Get your interviews booked in with them. So maybe it's a trainer that you've recently worked with, contact them and say, look, just recently done a course with you, I'd love to interview you about my experiences and X, Y, and Z, and get a list of questions. Don't ask the generic questions. Try and think of something a little bit different, a little bit unique. So they must get overwhelmed the amount of people asking for interviews. So just make sure you're different and you stand out. You can do demo videos, reviews, make sure you get reviews from people, something that we're trying to work on now. Testimonials, case studies, checklists. So when I first started in property, I did a checklist, a property inspection checklist that I sent out and got loads of downloads for. And it was basically a walkthrough of my property. So basically, I stood outside, what did I do? How did I view a property? And it's basically now really important. It's a completely hands-off viewing system. So now I send this to agents when they want to do me a virtual viewing, and I get them to fill it in. Once they've filled it in, it automatically gets imported into my CRM system. Calculations, I've already covered, news, and questions. So you're kind of getting my point here that there is loads and loads and loads and loads of content ideas in regards to property. You've just got to put your unique spin on it, because you're the person that's going to make this content different, is you. Don't just copy someone, don't regurgitate what somebody's told you, put your own spin on it. I'd definitely like to see a video of a demolition video. I think that'd definitely get quite a lot of interest. So social proof is king, and this is where we've got most of our investment from, is telling people what we are doing. So this is a video earlier in the year that I did of first day on site at our new build project. We're doing the land testing and did the figures on the property, did a walk around, told people what we were doing. Got 144 likes, 63 comments. I know that content works for me. If I'd have put questions on there, I'd have got zilch. But also remember, that was a live video. People love before and afters. A shitty green bathroom into a nice new bathroom of one of our buy-to-let projects. As you can see, 235 likes and 36 comments. These are things that were posted into Progressive. So this is where you're getting the comments from, because you posted it into a pre-made fishing pond, so to speak. Then you've got, so what I also do like to do, so we do a lot of direct to vendor mail, so a lot of traditional marketing still. So we do letters, postcards, etc., text messages. So this was a response to a letter that I'd sent out. I got this through. Basically, we're still negotiating this deal. As you can see, it was May 18th last year. So nearly a year ago, we're still negotiating on this deal. But it's basically social proof that actually you are doing what you say you're doing. You are doing direct to vendor mail and you are getting responses. 204 people liked it, 78 comments, which is just insane just by that little piece of content there. But what it does is it instills confidence in other people that actually that is a bit of an inspiring post to others, that people might be doing direct to vendor, they've been doing it for months and have got nothing, but getting one email like that completely justifies doing, you know, spending the hundreds of pounds that you have on sending out them letters, because it only takes one deal, remember. And I always love talking about Sheffield, telling people why Sheffield is a great investment area. I still do it now. I normally do it every week, about why it's a great place to invest, why they should invest there. I love Sheffield, even though I'm not from Sheffield originally. I am from Leeds. I've come around to the concept to live in Sheffield now. But telling people about your area, what it does is it elevates you as the expert in your niche. So anyone who's looking for a buy-to-let, excuse me, a buy-to-let or a HMO in Sheffield knows that Laura Muse sources them. They want a commercial conversion or a new build project, they see my husband. That is what we've positioned ourselves as. Lead magnets. So who is on here tonight and is looking for investors? Quite a lot of you. Cool. So one of the most, one of the ways I found builds you up an email database very quickly is by doing things, a lead magnet that's free. And the most successful one that I did was it's an ebook about why they should invest in Sheffield. Everyone on this webinar can do this, about why people should invest in your area. So I did this. I've also done something else. And basically we have a bit.ly link. So you've got your whatever it is, whether it's a physical course product or whether it's an ebook or a quick start guide or something along them lines. You then have a link, which then brings up a web form. So I use a system called Podio, which is free. Some people like it, some people don't, but basically it's a CRM system what populates a web form. I get the link, I stick it into bit.ly, I shorten the link to make it look a bit more attractive. I actually tailor it so it's got bit.ly invest with us instead of it just being loads of random numbers. Because remember what I said about the landing pages before, the page names. Looks more professional as well. Stick the details in there, import straight into my CRM system. Then what I can do is I can link them up to a MailChimp campaign to market to them every week. Building up know, like and trust. I'm being consistent. They're seeing me, I'm visible. This has got me over 100 people in my investor database. Now, I don't class them as investors. They're only investors when they're qualified, which is a completely different subject. So just to quickly go on to it, a qualified investor to me is once they've filled this in, they might get in contact with me. I'll send them an email, say, you're looking to invest in Sheffield? Yes. Well, if you want to take this further, can you please fill in my investor registration form? Quite a lot of you have seen an investor series I did in the progressive community. Check that out. It'll tell you a lot more details there. But this is just to get a lead. Now, they're a warm lead. They're interested in investing in Sheffield. I like to monitor this because what you will find is a lot of competitors will try and download it, with sneaky little sods. William, I use Podio, William, but I think you know that. People have a love and hate relationship with Podio, that is all I'll say. So once you've got your lead, so once you've been putting yourself out on social media, what happens? How does it work? So I'm going to give you a real life example of something that happened very early on in my journey. just to, can I have got a copy? Of course you can have a copy. So basically, the real estate funnel. So we're putting all this content out onto YouTube, Facebook, etc., where our audience is. We're going to get leads like the one I've just shown you, but then we need to create a customer journey. So I'm going to take you through a real life scenario now of what happened to me. So this is April 2019. So this is literally about a month after I started putting myself on social media. As you can see, this is when I was doing the Laura on Location series of videos. So I think I was about 7 weeks in. I started at the beginning of March, doing it every day. This is day 2, and basically it's all about being consistent. So as you can see on there, there isn't a lot of likes and comments. So when I first started on social media, I got very little engagement, but by being consistent, you will build that up over time. I've been putting these posts out every day for about 7 weeks now. And then I got this email. So this is someone who contacted me probably a couple of weeks beforehand. We'd initiated a conversation, and then he kind of died a death, and then just popped up again. So, hi Laura, how are you? Been a while since we last messaged. Been following your progress on Facebook, etc. So that's really important. Been following your progress on Facebook, etc. So he's been watching. He's coming up to Sheffield tomorrow and Thursday. Will be good to grab a coffee if you're available. I appreciate it's short notice, but please let me know if you have the time. So what do you think I said? Silence. We all gone to sleep. One yes. Terrible. So I said yes. Met the guy for coffee, and it turned out he had £400,000 sat in his bank account. I nearly fell off my chair at that point. I thought, oh my gosh. And he says, he had £400,000. So I said, well, what are you going to do with it? And he said, oh no, what are you going to do with it? Which I definitely nearly fell off my chair then. So after some conversations, we agreed that actually what he was going to do is he lent us £200,000 on a return basis, and then the other £200,000 he invested into our deal packaging business so we could start building him up a portfolio. These are 2 properties that we bought with it, so these were last year. He lent us 200 grand for an 8% return. That's what we get cash flow each month, and that's what he got in return for investing that money with us. A win-win, but that is by somebody watching on social media, as that message clearly states if you look at the timeline. So it is 100% bang on. Other deals we bought with other people's money. So there's this one, 100% funded with investor finance. So that was a flip. So they put all the money in, we do the work, we split the profit 50-50. This one here, so we just put a little bit of money into this one, again, split the profit 50-50. This one, completely funded. So what we try and do with our investors is we try and get them to leave the money with us longer. So if they invest for a short period of time, for us, short period of time is a year. We don't like people lending on a project by project basis, purely because if it runs over, you know, God forbid if you had, you know, you'd lent somebody's money now for 6 months and you had to give it back, and you've not even you know done anything on that property at this current time in this climate, you'd be stuffed. So we try and get as long as possible, but we incentivize them to do that. So if they lend for 12 months, we give them between 6 and 8%. If they invest with security of 3 to 4 years, we give them 10%. So that's how it works with a lot of our investors. So this one is on a 12-month rolling period. They've just reinvested with us. So they're 12%, sorry, they lended us £100,000. It's gone off. They lend us £110,000, sorry, for 8% on a 12-month rolling period. We can normally get 2 projects out of that, maybe 3, depends how quick James works. But we buy in cash, we refurb, and then we refinance on the buy-to-lets. So this is work in progress. Probably should have updated this. A lot's happened since then. We're actually up to the roof by now on this new build project. So the new build project, we started off looking for, we found an investor. Unfortunately, the investor had to pull out because they had issues in the family. So then we looked at development finance. We got quite far down the road with the development finance, and then luckily another investor came on board. So that investor is completely financing the new build project. We've purchased the land, but what's happened with that as well is we've actually got a joint venture partner involved. So Dale, who is our site manager, has gone 50-50 on the land. So we've been able to pull 50 grand of that money back in our bank account to use and make it work harder. He's taking half the work on. We'll split the profit 50-50. We've got a private investor to lend us the money at 10%, 350 grand. We should come in way before 12 months so we can get the money back to them as soon as possible. So things happen when you use social media. All this has come from social media. So I can't stress enough that you need to put yourself out there. If you want to build a property business, you want to use other people's money, you need to use social media to do it. There's 100% nothing special about me. I had very little property experience, but I was just being consistent, and I was being authentic, and I was being visible to people. And if you do them 3 things, the investment will come. And do not forget, always put a call to action on your posts. You need to tell people what you want them to do next. Do you want them to fill in an investor registration form? Do you want them to fill in your ebook guide? Do you want them to go and sign up to your email list? You need to tell them what to do. So I hope that's been helpful. Does anyone want to sleep? So just before we go, obviously I mentioned at the beginning that I do a face-to-face course. I am doing this exclusive for you guys. I've put together an online version of that with a lot more content in there. So it's basically tonight on steroids. So the social media course, it's £95. There's over 5 hours worth of content, videos like me talking to you now, talking through the different modules. We talk about social media marketing as a whole. We talk about personal and business branding in a lot more depth. We talk about targeting and deciphering your market in a lot more depth. So if for this kind of person, this is the profile that they will be on. We also talk about optimizing your Facebook, your LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter accounts. We also touch slightly on TikTok, so we're going into that as well. And we also go into a lot more depth on content creation. I've also got in there, there's a video revolution guide, so how to set up your video for your YouTube and your Facebook. And then you've also got your social strategy, so that is a really detailed document, so you can fill that in as well. I'll pop the link in the comments, she says. So if anyone's interested in that, I will pop it in the comments for you. And what I'm also going to do as well is for the first 10 people, because it is new, for the first 10 people, what I will do is I will also, in a couple of weeks' time, I will then give you a free Zoom call, so we can do a lot of Q&A. You can tell me kind of how you've got on with the course, feedback, any questions you've got, because obviously it is online. Normally we do it face-to-face, so actually I don't really want to kind of give it out and then go, oh, there you go. So it's £95, it's a one-off thing. If you are interested, like you can see, there is there's loads and loads of content. So if you think I've given you value tonight, the course is this on steroids. So yeah, I'm not going to say much more about it because I'm not going to really push it. So if you're interested, great. If not, that's absolutely fine. If you have found tonight helpful, I'd really appreciate if you could go on to my I2 training page and leave me a review. How long does the course last? Basically, you pay for it. The course comes as a whole. You can do it in chunks. It's got 5 live videos. So the videos come to you. The 4 videos are about 45 minutes, and then you've got one which is an hour. So you can pick and choose when you do them. And then obviously you've got your the video guide as well. So you can use it all at your leisure. Yeah. Cool. Any more questions about tonight? I put the link in. Can you see it? Spare me a second. Put it in the comments. Can you see it? Yes? No? I'll tell you what I can do. Hang on a minute. Right, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see it at the top there? Here we go. So that's the link for the course. Can you all see it? Thumbs up, thumbs down.